Hello friends, I'm excited to be with you on a brand new episode of Real Woman with NikeAdeyemi. I'd like you to sit back. In this episode, we are going to be looking at questions. A lot of viewers have written in, asking questions. Some have given their feedback, which are just amazing. So my guest and I are going to be looking at the questions. We're going to be answering these questions, and I believe that it's going to be a very interactive time. You don't want to miss this. Sit back, hang in there, don't go anywhere. I'd like you to call your friends and ask them to tune into the station right now. God bless you. Welcome back. Viewers, it's a joy to be with you again. At this time, we are going to be looking at questions. Like I said earlier, viewers have written us, and we have a set of interesting questions that we'll be answering today. And I have with me here Neoma. So we're going to have a great time together.
Yes, we are.
Now, before we go into the questions, I'd like to just take some feedback, comments from some of our viewers from around the world. This one says, "Hello, Real Woman. God bless Pastor NikeAdeyemi for blessing so many women, especially me, through her teachings on TV." Well, we thank God for that. Another person said, "Good work you're doing. You've blessed my home. I thank you very much." Well, we thank God. We give God the glory. And we thank you also, viewers, for sending your comments, for supporting us, and for staying with us, even all these years. God bless you. Now, let's dive into the questions. What do you have for us?
Well, we have quite a number of questions here that have to do with depression, right? So, and how it can be prevented. And that's actually the first question. It says, how can depression be prevented? With all the situation going on in recent times, we've had quite a lot of cases of people coming out that they're depressed. Some have even gone ahead to commit suicide on so many levels. So.
Yeah, it's so sad. I mean, I heard that, I think it was last year or so, that I think it was the United Nations that said, by the year 2030 or so, depression will be the #1 killer disease in the world. And we can already see, the direction. What causes depression, or can it be prevented? First of all, why depression? Why the depression has always been around? Because, I believe that people are stressed in various ways. Life happens to people, things happen to them that they cannot handle, or they are not equipped or prepared for. I believe each and every one of us have different resistance levels to the things that happen to us. Some people, when things happen to them, they lose a loved one, or another loved one, back to back. Sometimes they're resilient, they're able to keep going, but sometimes another person, it will just utterly crush them.
True.
But you will agree with me, viewers, and Neoma, you'll agree with me that yes, in recent times, all over the world, in whatever city you're located, even though I know it's worse from city to city or country to country, you have cases of people wanting to kill themselves because they're just in despair. They've given up, And, first of all, the things that happen, the things that are happening in the world can be really overwhelming for a lot of people. It's just a bit too much, things happening in whole nations, governments, policies unstable, all kinds of things just happening, even in, I don't want to mention countries right now, but every country has their own levels of stress, insecurities that the people face, and this could cause people to be very afraid and insecure. So the question is, can it be prevented? Well, I believe that depression can be prevented, not by preventing world issues.
Because those you can't.
You can't prevent who becomes president in a particular country, and because power changes. Someone becomes a governor in a state, someone becomes a president, and some people are not expecting it will be this person, you expect it will be this other person. I believe personally it should not lead to depression, but I'm not judging anyone. But why should I take on the problems of a whole country and personalize it and feel like my life is over because of policies XYZ. But again, we should not judge, because what would affect one person might not affect the other. Yes, differently. Exactly. But one of the ways to prevent depression that I would say is to trust God. People should learn to have a relationship with God. Have a relationship. I'm not saying go to church or go to this church or this mosque or whatever. Have a relationship with Almighty God, because He is the creator. Yeah. And people should come to a point where even if they didn't believe in God before, in times like this, try and ask and try and find out, like, God, if you are there, if there's a God up there, show yourself to me. I want to know. Because people are saying you are there, people are saying that you control things, people are saying you are the creator. I don't know you. And if you're there, reveal yourself to me. I want to know you so that I can have a relationship. So for those who know God, for those who claim to be Christians or Muslims or whatever faith you belong to, get to know God, get to know Him and have a relationship with Him. It is not about religion. It's about knowing someone. For me, that has been a stabilizing factor in my life. It has been a great help, to me to know that there's someone that loves me, and to tap into Him, and to know that, to read His Word, to read the Bible, and to see scriptures that explain to me, for example, all things, Romans 8 says, 28 says, all things work together for good to them those who love God, and to those who are called according to His purpose. Those are one of the scriptures that comfort me and strengthen me ahead, which means that no matter what happens to me, I have this knowing that God knows, and He's telling me that He will work it out for my good. So people are depressed because they can't see a way out of their situation. But I'm saying that even when you can't see a way out, if you know the way maker, if you know God, if you know that He's ultimately a loving God, but there's a devil out there who is evil and who is trying to make life miserable for us here on earth, but God is a good God, then you tap into that grace and say, Lord, I hold on to you. Give me joy. Bring beauty out of this mess that I'm in. Okay, then with that, I shouldn't feel like ending my life. I should be eager to see how He's going to bring me out of this mess, since He said He would. But if I end it all, and I allow myself to be depressed, I won't even be giving God the opportunity to prove Himself and for us to see what miracle or what way He would bring glory out of this terrible situation. So another way to prevent depression is for people to have, get around family. Someone may say, look, you don't know. Someone may say, I don't have family. I'm an orphan. I don't have, but again, I have a church family. I have people who are fellow believers that I can lean on, even if my biological family are not there for me. Because someone may say that, yes, you have a lovely, wonderful husband, you have wonderful children, I'm alone, I'm single. Hey, it's not difficult. Find someone to hang out with. It could be a colleague at work. It could be that person that needs help. But many times people internalize their own problems. You feel it's about just you. So that person at work should know that you're sad. Should know that you just lost someone. Should know that you've had a bad. But why not look out for that person who is in need of love and who usually has a bad day? It could be that person that's really much lower in the organizational cadre. Because if you reach out to help such a person, you find out at the end of the day, you've won a friend. And that person will turn out to be your greatest cheerleader, your greatest support. But many times, we want that support now. We want that person that will encourage us, that person that will give us money, that person that will... But why don't you look for that person in need? Put your own challenge on hold. Who you can also
render those things that you're looking for.
Even if for start, you're even talking about your issues. Is that your issue? Hey, listen to mine. And then you find that, hey, you cry on each other's necks, and you end up being each other's support group. Have support group, because if you have support group, you won't totally be in despair. You will think about, okay, I have a mother, though she lives so far away, but I need to call her on the phone. I need to, because if she knows what I'm going through and about to kill myself out of depression, she will beg me and say no, So I mean, I don't know what else you have to say about preventing
You're
depression.
so right about that, because one of the things that happens to people who are depressed is that they isolate themselves. So you said something about internalizing. So you find a place where no one can reach you, and you're busy taking in all of these negative energy, and there's no way for it to exit. It becomes a problem. So with so much of that kind of energy, there's only just one option, and that's the wrong option. But when you surround yourself, like you said, with support people, then you find out that, you know, their energy can also rub off on you. You feel loved, you feel cared for, you hear something that encourages you to keep moving, you know, that it's not that bad, and it's not the end of the world. You can always come out of this situation stronger, better, and become the support that somebody else needs.
Excellent, excellent. So, you see, we've been talking about depression. We were treating the question, can depression be prevented? And of course, we were explaining why depression happens and all of that. You know what? You might be watching and you are in a situation like this. You might be watching and you're depressed. You might be watching and you're close to it. Hey, don't give up. Don't allow yourself to slide further into depression. Sometimes some people are depressed because of their weight. They don't like their body. They've put on so much weight. And you know, the more you think about your weight, the more depressed you are. Get out of it. Don't be isolated. I found out that, you know, in many cases where you hear about someone went and threw a bomb somewhere or shot people sporadically. I mean, we've heard in recent times going on in a nation like Nigeria, even in the United States, you know, even in the UK as well, you know, you just hear this person just goes to the train station and starts shooting, you know, or the one that went into that school and started shooting children. Many times when they trace, and many times the perpetrator, the person who does the shooting and the killing, many times the person shoots himself or is shot by the police. But when they now go and dig into the person's history, get into the person's social media, Facebook account, they break in, they now see that there were signs. This person was already talking to himself, saying, hey, I'm going to do this. But usually, when the friends of this person come out, usually maybe friends from way back in high school or in college, they may not have seen this person in a long time, or it could even be a roommate, and they will say, but he's a very, or she's a very, you know, gentle, quiet, easygoing. He keeps to himself. Though.
Exactly.
You know, there's always this picture of this quiet person, and that seems to be the pattern.
Paid attention.
So I'm now realizing that this isolation thing. So this person is a quiet roommate, or he's quiet in class. He doesn't disturb anybody. He won't hurt a fly. But maybe that really is the problem. They are friends, but they're all at a distance. So they feel that, yeah, he doesn't trouble anybody. He's not wild. She's not wild. Hey, it's not wild people that carry out these things. It's depressed people. People who are isolated. And because they're so quiet, nobody notices them. They're quiet, they're doing their things. They're on their own at lunchtime. They just want to be left alone. They're quiet, they're studious. But hey, danger. We need to begin to look out. That person that is overly quiet, that person that is always keeping to himself or keeping to herself. Someone needs to say, hey, mix with us. Hey, we know you're not an extrovert, but hey, once in a while. And you might find out that there are deeper things going on. Don't think the person is perfect, solid, and doesn't need connection. And you leave the person because there's a whole lot going inside. So be one another's cheerleader. Look out for that person that is all alone. That one that is isolated. Yes, even the most quiet and isolated of your children, that might be the one to pay more attention to. Don't think that, oh, that's the perfect one, because it doesn't disturb you. She doesn't disturb you with things that she needs. That might be the one to really look out for. So friends, we hope you've gotten something out of this moment so far. We have been talking about depression. But you know what? Don't go anywhere. Hang on with us. Call your friends. Tell them to join us on this station, because we have so more questions and we have so much more to talk about. God bless you. Let's take a short break. Welcome back. We have been looking at a series of questions, and earlier on we discussed the question on depression, and I think we have some more, right?
Yes, we do. The next one says, do children get depressed? What's your take on that? Children, I mean, most people say, they're too small? What do they know?
Well, on the surface, you would think children don't get depressed because depending on their age, you don't know what they're going through, you don't know what's going on in there. But I think that children are also prone to depression because the things that come at them are a lot as well. But many times we overlook because we think, what do they know? They're young. I mean, what does this child know? What does a 2-year-old know? What does a 5-year-old know? I think children are prone to depression. For example, if their parents fight, if their parents are alcoholics, if they beat each other up, if they shout at them, children get terrified. A child may be prone to depression if the child fears that the parents will break up, or if the parents actually get divorced or separated. And the child might be living with the parent that the child loves less. And if, but I think it varies from child to child. But I think we need to have that in mind, that children can be depressed. So we look out for our children. We look out for children of other people, children around us. That child that is overly quiet, that one that is overly noisy, because they can be depressed. I remember a few years ago, my youngest daughter, this was many years ago, I think she was like, I'm not sure if she was like 7 or 8. I can't remember the age now, but she came back from school one day and I don't know what I told her to do and everything. And she was like, it's like my life, I have all these things. I think I corrected her on something. She was like, I have homework. She was listening to everything. And now you're not happy with me that I did this. For once, I was stopped in my tracks because she was trying to tell me that I have all these problems. And I was like, yeah, but I first of all laughed because I thought, what does she know? What problems? But I thought about it. And from that time onwards, I began to realize that children have problems too. But their problems may not be our kind of problems. Very true.
I remember my son saying once that he came back from school. He said, I'm not feeling good. Nobody likes me. And my antennas were already up. I said, why would you say that? He said some people in school would say something. Okay, he wanted to be friends with someone and the person said no. And then he just felt a form of rejection. He said, but that person said no. However, we're here. I love you, your sister loves you, your brother loves you. These are all the other people. So you can't use one experience to just generalize. And that changed his, and then he came alive again. So sometimes, like you were saying, if someone is not paying attention, you may just wish away and be like, you're a child, what do you know? But really, that child needs answers. And if they don't get it, they begin to isolate themselves. And before you know it, they get depressed. Yeah, very true. The next question says, why are women more prone to depression?
Well, I'm not sure if that's the right judgment or statement, or I don't know if you've carried the analysis out. But yes, women are prone to depression. Men are also prone to depression. So we don't need to argue whether it's more women or more men. True. The fact is that children are prone to depression. Men are prone to women. Everyone is prone to depression. So, but just talking about women, let's talk about the things that come against women. Let's come at the things that may cause women to feel depressed, because yes, women are our primary audience, but we know we have a lot of male viewers as well. Women on issues of relationship, for example, a woman is jilted, her relationship breaks up. Sometimes they feel it's the end of the world. Again, some other ladies are able to shake it off and tell their friends or tell them, what, he's not just a man, move on. There are other people out there, but some are, they internalize it. Maybe they think of how much they've invested. Starting again. It may not even be about how much they've invested. Again, it brings us back to attitude, and it brings us back to the makeup of each person. When you think that this thing or this person is your entire world and your world is crumbling. Look, if your world is crashing, I know one thing. God is still on the throne. That has to do with my relationship with God. If everything else is crashing, he says, even though the mountains be carried into the midst of the sea. So that talks about tsunamis, that talks about floods. Of course, mountains don't move into the sea, but when the sea rises above the mountains, hey, that is disaster. But you know God, and you know where you will end up. Because when people don't understand that there's a life after this life, they're prone to depression. Girl, after this life, I know where I'm going. Do you know where you're going? I want people to be sure of where they're going. And you know where you're going, if you're sure where you're going, when everything is said and done, if you're sure that place is even more beautiful than the earth, hey, I'm not saying it's a bad idea to die now. Nobody will. We don't want to die. I don't wish it for anybody. But it's always about perspective.
True.
It's always about perspective, you know. So that should put someone on the brighter side of it. Women get depressed for things like their weight issues.
Weight.
I know that's a big one. I know that's a big one for a lot of women. The more they put on weight, the more they slide sometimes into depression. But you've also seen very big women that carry themselves well and say that, you know what, I'm big and beautiful. And they're bigger than some woman who wants to kill herself over her weight. So many times it's about perspective. It's about attitude. If you're big, don't go into depression. Tell yourself that someone likes you big and that person will find you. But at the same time, of course, still try to work on your weight.
Do it for yourself.
But do it for yourself, you know. So
your self-esteem, how you see yourself.
Women are prone to depression because many times their lives revolve around their children. And if a child is not doing well, or if a child is maybe kidnapped or taken away from them, I mean, through a marriage breakup or for whatever reason, a woman can slide into depression. And you know, so you know what, women, take care of yourself. And the men around us too, please, look out for the women in your lives.
Help take care of the women.
Yes, look out for them, you know, and let's just make the world and the atmosphere around us a better place for each other.
All right. Now, the other question says, can someone who has gone through depression go through it again?
Well, I believe that that is possible. I believe that that is possible. If you've been depressed once and you've come out of depression, don't take for granted that, hey, I've come out, it can never happen again. I believe that if you, whatever means to which you came out of it, of course, it's changing perspective, or you went for therapy, or you got to know God, and you got into His Word, and you began to know the beautiful things about you, your attitude changed, or you began to become more aware of your subconscious mind. Because many of us are only aware of our conscious mind, but we don't tap into our subconscious mind, the things that have happened to us when we were young, the things that have been taught. Yes, the things that have been forgotten and hidden away. Those things drive our behaviors, you know. But whichever way someone came out of depression, it can happen again. We don't wish it upon anybody. So take heed to yourself. Be careful. Whether it's happened to you before or it's never happened to you before, go for checkups. Do self-examination. Hey, how am I doing? Am I thinking those funny thoughts again? So that you can nip things in the bud. Don't think it can happen again. But I pray it doesn't, you know. Depression. I mean, we've been talking about why so many questions on depression. Well, any more on depression or that? So
no
okay,
more.
so we can begin to wrap it up.
It's a very, very strong issue going on in recent times, and it's important that people know that help is available.
Exactly, yes. And you know, when we see people who are suicidal or are depressed, let's not make fun of them. Let's not say, oh, madness and all of that, you know. The mind is a very sensitive thing. Some people have very fragile minds, I believe. Just like some have strong bodies and weak bodies. I believe some people have fragile emotions and fragile minds. And so once they snap there, they're on a downward spiral. They're suicidal. They're like, in fact, the suicide looks like bliss to them. They're like, let me end it all. This is so, but I believe that we can strengthen our minds. And you'll talk a bit more about that because I know that you're into therapy, you know, and all of that. And I have done some courses as well, you know, in therapy. And of course, the Word of God is my major therapy. Worship songs, songs of healing, create, you know, an atmosphere that will strengthen your mind. Not just, you see, what enters our ears and our eyes, they either weaken our minds, our resolve, or they strengthen it. Those things don't necessarily strengthen our bodies. So you see a horrible picture, or you've gone to watch a horror movie, and afterwards you're like, you can't sleep. No, it affected your mind, not your body. Okay? Oh, you see a slim, beautiful woman, and you feel you're overweight, and you say, it doesn't affect your body. You don't become slim immediately, or you don't even become immediately, your weight is not added to. It's your mind. You're like, why should she be that slim? Oh my God, I'm jealous. You begin to, or you are encouraged and said, if she can do it, I can do it. It's your mind.
It's how you see it.
Yes. So, because our minds are inside, and the Bible says, as a man thinks, as a woman thinks, as you think in your mind or in your heart, so are you. So should we pay more attention to the mind even than the body? But many times we're more of externals because that's what people see first. They judge us by externals. And when we judge people by their externals and they're looking on point,
but
you know,
inside,
slaying. But you better be slaying in your mind, and I say slay in the spirit before you slay externally, because externals could be deceptive. You know, because you look so beautiful. And I know you are okay because you're my friend and I know a bit of what's going on in your life. But you know, the way I see you're perfect, everything on point. You know, it's possible for me to think that that's how everything is perfect with you inside. Meanwhile, it might be the exact opposite. Sometimes people, the more disorganized they are inside, the more they slap on all the whatever, just to be sure that I'm well covered up. It's not going to show through my eyes. You know, one challenge I want to give us and I want to leave with us today. As for eyes that see, try to see beyond the obvious. Try to look beyond. When you greet someone, you say, how are you? And she says, fine. Try to look through those eyes to try and see what's going on behind. I'm not saying become psychic and all of that, you know, but try to say, are you sure? Concerned. Are you sure you're really fine?
Are you really?
She might look away. Or that child may look, are you sure you're fine? The person said, oh, I'm fine. And then you say, are you sure? And then she's like, lowers her gaze. That may be a sign. You know what? Let's go for lunch. Let's talk a bit more. Try and get into people's world, because you might just be the one that will be the one intervening, like making a difference between suicide, and you just may never know what that person was thinking about. Sure. Friends, I think that's all we have for this episode right now. We trust you've enjoyed this, and we trust that you've been blessed and helped, or even empowered to help someone out there who might be depressed. You know what? We all can make the world a better place. And I pray that in Jesus' name, you know, God will heal you and you will be used to heal other people. Go out and have an exciting, blessed, and awesome week. Bye for now.